Welcome to Apex Esports League. I'm JT. Tonight we're live on Project Cars 2 for PlayStation with round 4 of the Pagnian Imports Formula Rookie Cup. In tonight's round we're heading to Donington Park GP. Tonight's session we have starting off with Division 2 with 15 minutes of qualifying. Weather is medium cloud. Then Division 2's race is 20 on laps. Weather is medium cloud with mandatory pit requirement. Then we'll be having about a 10-minute break as we get ready to head off into Division 1. And then we'll have 15 minutes of qualifying. Weather is heavy cloud, and Division 1 race is 20 on laps. Weather will progress from heavy cloud through to overcast, and there is a mandatory pit. The Division 2 standings after the third round, we have Spray and Pray leading the championship with 413 points. And then for Div 1, we have DK1 Rush leading with 402 points. Coco Dog not too far behind with 347, so trailing in closely. Last week we were at Sportland Shugo, and then for the Division 2 race we had Spray and Pray after qualifying 4th take victory and also secure the fastest lap bonus points. And then for Division 1 we had Gallon 350 take the win after qualifying 2nd, and we saw Wiro de Jury 81 take the fastest lap bonus points. We'll head over and check out the track. So the United Kingdom for Donington Park GP, it's a good, fast, technical track. A few very sharp corners. Track length is 4.02 kilometers. There is 12 turns, and it's going to be rather tricky around Sector 3 with the very sharp chicanes and the hairpins. So drivers will be able to make up some ground there to be able to push through. Otherwise Sector 1 and Sector 2 is very quick. We're over onto the track now. Who's first to scramble out onto the track? Simo Simsel already out on track, and able to just letting some traffic through. The game session time is starting at 10 AM. Track temp's going to be rather cool. We've got 13 drivers loading into the session at the moment. Got Rennie making it back for tonight's round, having missed last week. So that's allowed Spray and Pray's championship lead to be able to push through, as he was his closest competitor after round 2. That's seen Rennie drop down in the 7th position. Spray and Pray sitting on 413 points. So now he has the Pretender with 339 points, being his closest rival. If you are just joining us for the stream, don't forget to jump into the chat, say hello, let us know who you're here to cheer on. Don't forget to hit that follow button if you haven't done so already. I'm not sure if that's some steering corrections we're seeing there for Pretender, if that's maybe some lag skips. We did see plenty of technical issues going on last week, where we saw Corby end up getting disconnected. Well, not so much actually disconnected, but having technical issues with his steering wheel at the race ready screen. They're unable to actually push the buttons on his steering wheel to be able to hit ready, and then seeing himself disqualified, as if you don't hit that ready button, you don't make the grid. And unfortunately with this game, if your wheel has frozen, you can't just simply quickly swap over to a controller and actually drive. So hopefully no issues for Corby. It's quite sad to see him take that pole position and then sadly not even have a chance at getting the race. Reese is on for a bit of a spin. Our championship leader, Spray and Pray, says 11 minutes 30 left of qualifying. Should start to see first times come up on the board. A little bit of throttle correction from a tad bit of oversteer. We have seen drivers using wet tyres where track temps have been still low, because it takes a little bit to get temps up in these tyres. Simo Simsel being the first car to get down the track, he's landed in a 151, and then Corby also then just comes in for 146. Pretender also 145. Is it, it's crunchy. Is it possible Spray could wrap up the championship? It could be possibly be that he's had a good run where he's got potential 145, I think, points that he can get tonight. So that's for a full clean sweep. So there's 25 points on the line for pole position. Yes, that's sorry, 150 points on the line. And if he's able to secure that, he could very well be going into the final round. He's going to arrive and drive and take the championship. But with our post-race stewarding system, it can definitely change things. A good clean finish is probably going to secure Spray for the win. Not have at least a real good shot, and wouldn't even have to try too hard in the final race. That's where the big points are up for grabs. Just had Cool Boy have his lap invalidated. Make our way through the list so we can recognise our drivers. Marky Mark just crossing the line, qualifying into 9th position. I think this lap around for Cool Boy was also invalidated, so he's probably cut the track in the last hairpins. If you do drop in a little bit short or go out wide, it will invalidate current lap and then the next lap. Just heading into the pits, not setting a time yet. Malaki's set a 2:21 for his first time lap. DJ's just run off, and we just had Rooney take pole position. He's just set a 1:44 flat. That's 1.177. Quicker than Pretender's time. He's got some great pace. Dan, PS Man, just improves his time. He's just bumped himself up into 7th position. Dan Boone currently in 6th with a 148. There's a fair bit of spacing going on with our top few qualifying results. We're seeing about a second difference between them all. The closest gappings we've got is Spray and Pray and Pretender. That's probably going to show that we're going to be in for some good action between those two. They had a cracker of a race last week. It was between Dan, Spray and Pretender all fiercely racing for a majority of the race. Only to see them break up. We had Spray and Pray head off into an early pit, as they'll basically just head to tail, the three of them, for the first 7 laps, and they all end up rejoining towards the back end, so great consistency from those three. Pretender's currently in 2nd. improve at times, so he's still sitting at that gap. Rooney's just improved his lap. He's broken the 144. He's now got it down to a 143.6. Well, cheers, Crunchy Goblin. Glad you enjoy watching it. Thanks for the support to our drivers. And for all those that are joining the stream, don't forget to use those sound effects controls as well. You can access them underneath the stream. So that way you can cheer and applaud. And some other fun sound effects as the race goes on. We've got Mick Gallen and Steph joining as well. Podium Pretender side by side, coming down into, I think it's start of Sector 3. They've just gone through the chicane. So there's 5.5 minutes remaining of qualifying. There'll be a few more laps they can get in. And Spray's bumped himself up into position 2. He's got himself into the 144s. He's only 6 tenths away from pole setting time by Rooney. Look at that slide from Spray. Oh, jump on board for a lap once we can see if there's someone close to fencing a fresh lap. In behind Rooney at this stage. Down pit straight, we're on board with Dan Byrne. Very fast turn 1, that's where we saw Spray and Pray getting a nice slide. End of Sector 1 can be a little bit slippery. Corner can catch off guard, especially that curb. It is rather slippery getting right up into it. So having to be careful of that throttle as making the curb. Similar to here as they approach the top of the hill. Then braking in the apex right at the crest. Very tricky corner. Very easy to run off wide on that and out into the kitty litter. And then the final sector is into the chicanes. And then the 2 final corners. The hairpins, very tricky. There's going to be plenty of passing opportunities, especially on this final hairpin. Getting that final corner is very crucial to getting a great run down pit straight and then positioning yourself very nicely. We may see if Dan will actually do it. We saw Corby doing it before, but he's got some traffic there. You can see coming out from pit lane. Drivers can actually go out into that pit exit and then turn in from there. We did notice drivers using that full amount of track when we were running Donington Park last time in the Group A's. Cars going very wide out into that exit lane. It's about to turn into turn 1. Currently got 16 seconds separating 12 cars. And this could be the first time lap for Killer. Look at Spray really trying to get that pole. He's been bringing down his times. A little bit slippery there. That gets him a time on the board, so that set him in 12th. Rooney still holding pole position. That spray is coming down very quickly. He's now less than a tenth away. It's 0.095 difference between P1 and P2. Rooney unable to break his best lap for the session. In the first set, a 144 flat, and breaking that down into the 143.662. There's a minute 15 left on the clock. There'll be enough time to be able to get one more lap in for most of them. The spray coming up to the final corners. That'll give him enough time to finish this lap, so if he's going to steal pole position, it's got to be this lap. They're about 7 tenths away from that time. And then we have Corby currently 1.6 seconds away from pole. And he's just brought that car in, so that's done that for Corby. His qualifying is finished. And fingers crossed for Corby that no technical issues occur for him as we progress over into the race. Misjudges the chicane. Not going to be a lap to be able to improve on there, and it's qualifying complete. So drivers now finish up these last laps. 125 seconds to do so. There you go, the morning conditions pretty good for the tyre wear. It'll be good with the change for our two divisions going into the Porsche Cayman Cup. Both Division 1 and 2 in those same conditions with time and weather. I got a few still out on track. Mikey Mark, we just had Cool Boy park the car up. Car off in the distance there. I think that was Pretender that may have just gone off. Marky Mark about to wrap up his final lap. There's just a minute remaining to get final laps done. Oh, Mark improves his position from 11th up into 8th. On the final corner now. He's got a 151.43 to beat. Will he be bumped up? He does. He moves back up that position that was taken. There we have qualifying for round 4 at Donington Park GP. Rooney 9915 position. And then the rest of the grid we have Spray and Pray, Pretender, Corby, Pretzelator, Dan Boone, Simo, Simsel, Killer, Marky Mark, Dan PS Man, Balaki, Cool Boy, and DG07. So over to the grid now. Hopefully no technical issues go on for Corby or any of the drivers for that matter. Had some spectacular racing from both divisions throughout this series. It's been very exciting to watch. Even with the post-race stewarding, it's been very clean. It's been great to see. Consider we've nearly got about 30 drivers out there for the series. We used to only just run 16 for a series, so that's doing very good. And kudos to all our drivers for keeping up that great standard. Hopefully we can see a few more join and see 2 full sessions for each of the divisions. Be some great intense racing to see in those Porsches. The drivers do have 2 minutes to hit the ready button. And you see Corby's car dipping up and down. So it's usually when they're changing setup. Does anyone drop off? All the drivers hit ready, so it's good to see. And green lights. Look at Spray really pull ahead. Pretender also darting up along the inside. Spray in a very favourable position coming down to turn 1. Corby runs a little bit wide. Looks like a pretty good clean getaway. And it is a rather hectic turn 1 trying to find that track position at Donington Park. Spray already putting on a nice lead. He's got 0.8 over Pretender, but he's got Rooney making some huge ground and going for an outside pass. But he's going to have to be cautious here. There's some lag skips going on with Pretender's car. So the track positions may be different. He's starting to get a fair bit of traffic around him. There's Pretzel's just gone for a spin. And Spray has just copped himself a post-race time penalty. He's cut track somewhere. Rooney and Pretender still at it, and Corby coming to join in. A bit of a lock. Almost looked like all 4 wheels locked up as they came down to that hairpin. Big slide for Corby. He could nearly go in the wall. He's just pulled it up in time. Cost him some positions, but doesn't take any damage. But now sees Coolboy move up in the 5th position. Dan Bean into 4th. Crunchy, it could be a drive-through potentially. Don't usually see a red number come up, so we will bring up timing. So he's only got a 1 second slowdown penalty. That's only when dropping off a tyre in some sections of the track. It can usually give you a slowdown request. Where usually the amount of time that it asks you to actually slow down is actually costs you more time than what the time penalty will actually give you. For some tracks where the track limits are quite excessive, we usually see drivers just cop the time penalty on the chin. Rooney takes the race lead. That's not going to be too drastic for Spray. I'm sure Spray will be more so considering the championship rather than just the race. His main focus has to be on Pretender. He can finish well ahead of Pretender. He's going to have a great position to be coming into the final round. Otherwise, it's going to be a very close final round. Pretender and Spray have had some great similar pace. Cool Boy now also copying a slow down penalty. Oh, I think that's Corby that may have just gone off track again. Not sure if he's actually made some contact with Dan Boone by the looks of it. Both having gone off in that same spot. Not sure if Corby's re-entry there was potentially a redress situation or if he was just a little bit slower at getting back on track. He's now got Killer closing in on him. Bray still sitting nice and close to Rooney. The two appear to be pulling away from Pretender. Bit of throttle control there, a tad bit of slip from Rooney. It's cost him a bit of pace. It's going to allow Spray to get a good run onto him if he can get this final corner. Using that pit exit to be able to carry much more speed down through turn one. Pretender's still showing a few little lag skips. Hopefully that doesn't result in an instant or a disconnect for him. Got Marky Mark starting to close in on Simo Simsel. That's Dan Boone and Corby, as well as Killer following suit. It runs a little bit wide. He's starting to close down on Pretzelnator. Bobby Dan Boone and Marky Mark very close together now. It's on lap 4 of 21. Larky just going into the pits. I'm not sure if he may have actually taken some damage. The front of the car looks a little scratched up. Dan Boone goes for a move, but it's actually cost him. They've just interlocked but then pulled apart, just luckily. Pretty tight racing going on between these two. A little bit of slip through the hairpins has cost some speed. Now letting Killer catch up to Dan and Corby as well. I think that's Corby just feeling off into the pits. Doesn't appear to have taken any damage. Bray slightly dropping off from Rooney. They are pulling away from Pretender. Last laps by Rooney was at 143.5. Spray at 144.5. Pretender at 145.4. And Spray's pace slightly quicker. They now got a nearly 5-second lead over Pretender. Pretender is looking pretty good because he's got Pretzel and Coolboy about 11 seconds behind. Coolboy starting to drop back from Pretzel. He was starting to get some good momentum on him. A little lock up there by Pretzel. That's going to cost him some pace coming down to the final corner. Simo also wearing a post-race time penalty now. Really gets a good run on the pit straight. It's allowing him to close in on Dan Boone. Spray's just suddenly quickly caught up to Rooney. Mistake costing Rooney some huge time. It's cost him about a second. This would be a good opportunity for Spray to either tuck in and keep at that same pace as Rooney, and then further that gap between himself and Pretender, or make a move, get around and start to really put a big gap. A little bit of a lock from Rooney. Slightly offline for Spray, so keep about that same gap again. Big slide from Simo in the chicane. He saves the car. He's almost going to see him out into that runoff area. A bit of understeer through the first hairpin. That's going to allow Marky Mark to get right on his tail as he comes into the final corner. Killer still closing that gap each lap. He is a 10th quicker than Dan that time around. Spray closing that gap again. He goes for an outside pass. I think Rooney may be fighting by a slowdown request. He seemed to have really backed off. I don't think it was quite enough, so we've got several drivers now. Spray, Rooney, Coolboy and Corby wearing 1 second. And we've got Simo Simsdorf wearing a 2-second penalty. On these tracks that have very strict limits, we usually end up seeing a lot more of the red numbers on the standings board than there are the blue. For those that aren't aware, the red number does mean that they've received a time penalty. Rooney starting to drop off from Spray. Only 7/10 away. Big slide. Oh, there's a car off track. I think that may be I'm not sure whose car it was. It would appear to be a green car off in the corner. I think it may have been DG's car. I'm sure there's only Pretzel and DG that's in the green. Marky Mark goes for an inside move. Also going to put him in a good position for the next corner. And he chain it through. Getting it very close. Spray's just dropped back into second position now. Rooney's retaken the race lead. We're on lap 8 of 21. Mark starts to put some gap on Simo. Simo now having some pressure from Dan Boone. Seeing him run off track. And now to easily taking position 7. That's Corby closing in on Killer. Corby has been in and hit. Not sure if that was to tend with some damage or just an early pit strategy. It's a nice pass just before the first hairpin. A little bit of slip. Steering correction going on for Rooney. Looked like he may have had a little bit of oversteer coming out of the corner. Our two leaders putting a further gap on Pretender. The gap now at 6.8 seconds. It did look like Pretender ran off in that chicane, but it was actually a lag skip. Not sure if that's showing on the broadcast screen as well. Sometimes there's a slight variation to what I'm seeing, that of the broadcast. Dan PS Man just leaving the pits now. We are nearing the halfway point, so it's likely we'll see a few peeling off. Sprays decide to head off into the pits. Rooney stays out on track. I think that may have been Corby just in behind Rooney. Not sure how that may have been. Bamboo starting to close in on Marky Mark. I've been tailing for a few laps. Having both got past Simo Simzel. There's another driver peeling off in the pits now. That's Simo Simzel. Spray having hit. Comes back out in third position. He's now 19 seconds away from race lead. It's going to come down to pit stops here. And I need to see Rooney and Pretender both head in and pit. Spray has managed his pit stop well. He could end up taking the race lead. In goes Rooney now. Pretender follow suit, he does. He's also peeling in. So eyes now on Spray. We'll bring up the map. He's coming down into the final corner now. About to head on the pit straight. It's going to be a race for pit exit, I think. That's Rooney just exiting now. You can see that white dot just ahead of the blue arrow on that map. That's Rooney just peeling out. This comes out very close to where they were. Pretender exiting the pits now. He's just got Marky Mark coming up. Gets out just in time, not having to have the other cars get offline. That's Balaki that's just gone off track. A bit of thin in the gravel. I don't think he's taken any damage. Yeah, that's right, Crunch hits. Some great pit strategies. We've seen many a race all done just by the way of the pit stop. even to as close as hitting on the second last lap, and then racing in pit lane. Been spectacular to see. And both Rooney and Spray are wearing a 1 second time penalty. That's going to negate their positions to each other. So neither having an advantage or disadvantage with that time penalty at this stage. Pretzelnator in third position. Pretender, after pitting in, comes out into fourth position. I don't think we've seen Pretzel heading to the pits from memory. That's Marky Mark just heading into the pits now. I do think Pretender was about 7 to 8 seconds behind the race lead before peeling off into the pits. He's now got 18 seconds, so had a slightly longer pit stop. And potentially has gone for a tyre change. Potentially using fuel as part of his strategy. Could opt to actually run the car a little bit light and go for a splash. Drivers do not actually have to have any service done to the car. That's, I think, Dan Pierceman. That's Dan Burn. There's two Dans up on the screen. He's going off in the chicane. I think he's avoided damage. He's currently in 11th position. Looks like Pretzel having just lapped him. Our race lead still sitting nice and tight. Pretzel now heading into the pits. Going to allow Pretender to be able to move back up into position 3. Now just moving up. Corby also moving up into position 4. We did see Corby pit very early. He's only 22 seconds away from race lead, and we've seen him go for a couple of slides. So he's done some brilliant recovery. Spray trying to chase down a Rooney at this stage. The roof. Spray's car. Had some very consistent laps. Ooh, and a lag skip ahead by Rooney. That last lap by Spray at 1:44.192. That's 8 tenths quicker, and listen to that squeal through the first hairpin. More squeal as well. They're pushing as much speed as they can through these hairpins. Spray 2 tenths lower than Rooney, but Rooney's just run off. But is that lag? He's going to have to be very cautious going past, just in case he lag skips across. You can see Spray playing very cautious there, going off track a little bit just to give some more room. Because once you start seeing a few little lag skips, you got to start to give a little bit more space on the track. Spray doesn't want to have his race ruined here, and he doesn't need to beat Rooney in this race. However, it would be very favourable if he can maintain the race win and keep Pretender back in third position. So Pretender's going to have to try and really close in on Spray here. Pretender's doing some big chasing. Try and keep very close with Spray on that championship. Corby now passes Pretender. I think that might be Blarkey's car that we just saw off track. He's just done damage to the nose cone. And the car doesn't appear to be steering too straight. A few little steering corrections having to be done. So they're going to need a visit to pit lane. Coolboy and Pretzel battling it out for position 6. Coolboy gets a good amount of speed out of the chicane. A big block by Pretzel. I don't know if he was actually moving off the side of the track to let him through or not. Coolboy getting stuck in that draft. Blarkey in the pits now. Could be a good position here for Pretender to try and tuck in behind Corby. He's just lost that momentum. Been having some bad luck in the race. The car appeared to be handling much different in the qualifying session than it's been for him. Corby in position 3. In that second and starting to drop back a little bit. His last lap was nearly 1.5 seconds slower than Spray. We're on lap 15 or 21. 5 to go. I think that's a car. It's off track now. I think that may be DG just re-entering back in. Doesn't appear to have taken any damages going off onto the grass. Blarkey having just had to go in and pit to get some repairs done. Some issues with the car. Dan Byrne and Marky Mark still battling it out. Been very evenly paced for most of this race. Oh, that's a big slide. I think it's Dan Pierceman. That's wrong, Dan. Gets back on the track nice and safely. Pretzel carrying a huge speed right on the tail of Coolboy. A few little lag skips there. They could easily make contact here. On the bonnet of Pretzel's car, just how close he's getting, sitting in that draft. Coolboy carries a bit more speed through the chicane. see him pull away. Oh, very close. Oh, they've touched. He's caught back up the spray again. It slightly runs wide. That's costing some pace. Otherwise, you could almost seen him have a go for a pass. Coming through sector 2. That sounds like a car's just gone off nearby. Looks like Malaki just up ahead. He keeps off to the side. Blue flag shown. Ray and Rooney get through very quickly. Lucky having some big issues there. Coming out of the first hairpin. Pretzel's still looking to try and get around Cool Boy. And Dan Boone's made his way around Marky Mark. These two had been battling it out for several laps. Well, then he goes off at the chicane. Gonna allow Killer to get around him. Gray and Rooney still at each other. Keep teetering with this gap. As one starts to pull away and then gets the better of the other, they then swap around again. He's probably going to be a little bit more focused on trying to get a win here. If he's seeing that Pretender is currently down in 4th position, if he can put an extra space between himself, it's going to help with heading into the final round. There's 240 points on the line for a win coming into the final race. There's 120 points for the win tonight. And he could very well secure some extra points for getting that fastest lap of the race. 5 points on the line. Oh, Rooney goes off. He holds the lead. Spray plays cautious. He wouldn't have known what was going to happen. Rooney could have quickly turned back in on the track and made contact. An incident at this stage of the race would be costly for a championship lead. Pretzel truly ahead of Cool Boy now. Been battling it out for quite a while. He's now got 8 seconds over Cool Boy. And that's Marky Mark starting to close down. Killer about 4 seconds behind Marky Mark. He's got Dan Boone starting to close down on him. Bring up the the timings and see if there's been any differences. Both Rooney and Spray still wearing 1 second each in time penalty. Balaki just having some issues coming through the final corner. I think he's just put that into the wall. Having just met the pit entrance if he has taken damage, but the car seems to have fared alright. Drop the tyre off and then lock that up with the brakes. Chasing down Corby. Pretender's going to want to have to try and get around Corby. Corby is wearing 2 second penalty. Pretender could take back third position just by staying within that 2 second gap on the final lap. And that's still going to put him in a good position coming into the final round for a championship. He still could then contest Spray. Spray currently 2 tenths away from Rooney. That's the final lap here. Spray is going to make a move to try and get this win. He's got to do it this time around. And just coming up to the end of Sector 2. And they're side by side. They come to the chicane. Spray slightly off put. He's run wide, but that could have gone much worse. He's got a nice safety net as well. That's cost him potential race win. And still a spot on the podium. He's currently 2 placings away from Pretender. Pretender is within that 2 second gap. It's probably going to be a very close finish. There we are, check flag. Rooney takes the win. Brainpray in second position. As Rooney's in the pits. Not sure what's going on there, whether he just dived that car across the line. The Pretender makes a move on Corby, but they just touch on the final corner. Didn't need to make the pass as he would have had enough to be able to get through. And that's simply having some fun with the carts. Pretender on the podium takes P3. Corby in position 4. Second last corner for Pretzel. He's got 6 seconds between himself and the car behind. There's 75 seconds left to get final laps done. Pretzel crosses the line in 5th. Coolboy and Mark very close, but Coolboy's got a time penalty. He's going to lose a position. He relinquishes that, and Mark takes P6, Coolboy P7. Killer also crossing the line, takes position 8, followed by Dan Boone. May seems a little in 10th, and he did just cross the line behind our race leaders. DG also showing as being in the pits. Not sure what's going on there. TFS man having some fun. He's in 11th. DG getting a service at the moment, so he must have just taken damage. And once he crosses that control line, that'll be it. I think Balaki has also crossed that line. And he has actually been released. I'm not sure what's going on with his car, whether there's a technical issue going on for DG. But that definitely looks like AI driving, so we're going to have to probably see the last few seconds count down. Yeah, Rooney's returned that car to pits. Then we have results for Division 2 of Round 4 at Donington Park GP for Pagnian Imports Formula Rookie Cup. Rooney 9915 taking the win, followed by Spray and Pay in second place. And in third place in the rest of the standings, we have Corby, Pretzelnator, Marky Mark, Coolboy, Killer, Dan Boone, Simo Simsel, Dan PS Man, DG, and Balaki. Adding in our podium finishes to the chat, so I have Rooney, Spray, and Pretender in here in a moment. I do just have to find the guys. We should see them jump in a sec. Then we'll be gearing up ready for our next session with Division 1, so there'll be plenty more racing action to come. Here we are, we've got the guys loading in now. Should see. Hey, how are you? Congratulations on the podium. Yeah, definitely. Then you still manage to hang on there. And then a nice little battle with Corby in that last little corner.
And I just thought play it safe and just sit on his bum and don't do anything silly. So I think he just waved me past on the last one, I think.
Yep. Yeah, well done. So it's going to make things very close, I think, coming in the final round with you and Spray. So well done, Spray, on the podium, P2.
Thanks, mate. A bit disappointed I couldn't push on. I was just saying to Rooney, I was Devo with myself in the chicane there. I thought, what am I too wide here for? But nah, it was awesome racing.
Yeah, otherwise it was going to be a pretty close finish between you and Rooney. He's had the game of cat and mouse going for most of the race.
That was awesome.
Yeah, congratulations, Rooney. Great drive.
Yeah, cheers. That was a great race. I was cutting it fine on the last lap though. I had 0 petrol when I crossed the line, so I was taking it quite steady on the last lap. But
very tight.
Yeah, good fight with Spray. It's good fun.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it was great racing. It was good to see. So it'll be exciting coming into the final round for Fuji. I think it's going to be pretty close for points. So definitely a decider round between Spray and Pretender.
Can I just ask, is it double points?
Yeah, the big 240 points up for grabs.
Oh, no pressure at all then. Can I just say a shout out to the Div 1 boys watching. Good luck in the race. And,
they're watching and cheering us on, so they're all gearing up now, ready to go.
Just don't stuff your pit stops like I did. Drove straight past him.
Oh no.
Shout out to all the fans.
Yeah, love it.
Yep, congratulations guys, great racing.
Cheers.
Yeah, thanks, JT.
Man.
Well done, boys. Good race.
Yeah, well done, guys.
Too much pace for me. Well done.
Thanks.
There we have our podium finishes for tonight's round. So that's round 4 of the Pagnian Imports Formula Rookie Cup. Rooney 9915 taking the victory, followed by Spray and Pray in position 2 and Pretender in position 3. So we'll be having a 10-minute break now as we get ready to load up for the next session. So we'll be heading over into Division 1, and then they've got the same deal again. So 21 laps and a 15-minute qualifying. So there's having some more great Formula Rookie action. So do stay tuned. We'll be back very shortly. And welcome back to Session 2. We've now got Division 1 coming in to do 15 minutes of qualifying and then do 21 laps around Donington Park. We did just see Division 2 have a fantastic race with Rooney taking victory, followed by Spray and Pretender on the podium. So game session is a little bit different for Session 2. So game time is now 1 PM. Weather conditions are heavy cloud. And then we own the UK for Donington Park GP. The track length is 4.02 kilometres with 12 turns. And that's been some fantastic racing. We've also got 13 drivers loaded up. Division 1. See a few cars peeling off. And we've got Sami back. He wasn't able to make it last week. It's good to see him back on track. Joining us for the stream. Don't forget to hit that follow button so you do get notified when we go live. And don't forget to jump in the chat, say hello, let us know who you're here to cheer on. And then there's also a bunch of sound effects controls under the stream so you can cheer and applaud as the drivers commence on. Oh, we just had 2 disconnects. That's Steph. Who the other one is, there's been some, and Philly Manilli. So they did mention that it was a possibility, and even Gallen is in that risk, so they are actually facing some storms. We could see power interruptions occurring for them. Now we've got Demon Effects joining us tonight as well. We've not been able to make the first few rounds. And it's good to see him back out on track in the Skip Barbers as well. Demon getting plenty of open wheel racing during the week. It's very close for championship points, with only about 55, a little bit of a lag spike. Someone's rejoined. Oh, I think we've just had both rejoin. Philly and Steph. Yes, they're back in the session now. Hopefully it can hold out for them for the qualifying and the full course of the race. A little bit wide for DK, and these track temperatures are going to be much more cool than we saw in Division 2. It's going to be rather slippery out there. And several drivers ensuring they carry a little bit of extra fuel in the car, with having Philly retire out on the final corner in the last lap, having run out on fuel on that last lap. He's coasting for most of that lap in neutral, trying to conserve and get that car home, and having to take that final corner at a fair amount of speed just to be able to get enough run on to get up the hill and cross the line, but unfortunately not able to do so. We would have saw Philly, I think, crossing 5th position at that point. That's Sugo. It's been very unfortunate to have that occur. Got a few going off. We make our way through the cars as well. Doggy Daddy. Demon Effects. First time's coming through. Head Farmer sets a 1:46 as the quickest time so far. Cliff in car number 17. Christian qualified. He did not just have 4th, but he's just been bumped down into 6th. Both Coca Dog and Mick Cliff bumping him down the line. And Christian is very closely climbed up with Gallon 350 for the championships, so 293 points and 307. With Gallon's win last week, really helping him out. And Philly back out on track, but it looks like Philly's disconnected again, so he's frozen. Don't know if the other drivers can actually see him. No, on my screen he's frozen, but the broadcast he hasn't. There's some lag differences going on. Gallon 350 had a solid drive last week. And some huge pace to go. That we haven't covered yet. Oh, we just had another spike. I've even been disconnected. Probably still hear me, but I'm just rejoining the session now, so we're just going to be left to check out Coco Dog at this stage. Definitely isn't a power interruption for me, as my other two devices are well and truly connected. Just race director screen dropping out. It looked like we even had some more disconnects happen as well, so we're now only seeing 11 drivers. Tommy just rejoining the session as well. Could even be some server related issues. We have Vortex with pole position at 144.5. Only half a second away is Coco Dog. And the head farmer currently in third. There's 6.5 minutes remaining of qualifying. Like we've lost Philly. That's Philly and Sami. I think that's dropped out, so they've got a couple of minutes to be able to rejoin the session. Dirty Monkey's holding the fourth quickest time. 10 cars we have, just under 5 seconds separating. We've got Philly rejoining and another lag spike. We might be seeing Sami joining into the mix. Sure if PK having issues with track temperatures. actually get DK's car onto the stream where I'm actually seeing it. So hopefully stream console doesn't drop out. Hopefully there's supposed to be any storm activity in my area. Vortex still holds that pole position. Coco Dog half a second away. Head Farmer was in third. Gallons just bumped him down a spot, hitting a 145.2. You're not seeing a time for DK, and he's not even showing up on that stream still. Hopefully that catches back up, so he may very well have actually gotten a time in. Bring up the time, you can see. Yeah, so it's actually not just something. Oh no, it was DK's just got time in now. We just had Sami rejoin the session. Now it's still missing someone. Does appear to be Philly. We still can't see DK's car driving around, but he did get a time in. He's qualified 6th to 146.297. Christian's also bumped his way up into position 2. There's 3 minutes remaining of qualifying. That's some big pace there from Coco Dog with a slide on that car. And Philly rejoins just in time, so there's only 2 minutes 50 left. A disconnect now won't let them see the start of the race. Gallon's moved up into P2. That's Philly in behind him. Jump on board for a lap with Gallon. We've just gone through turn 1, that was his turn 2. Very wide, and you can actually hear little scuffs going on with the car. He's going to bring that in. The commentator's curse. Oh, DK's taken the pole position. We still can't check him out on the stream. We might be able to get a full lap with Doggy Daddy. Coco Dog's just stolen pole. DK's up into P2. Off the racing line to allow for pit exit lane. There we have Gallon. Park the car up. This line a little bit loose coming off. Traffic on his tail as well. Two trickiest corners of sector 2. Very nice line. Going across the crest. Moves off track. Sure who that was behind, but we haven't been able to get a full lap on. And Coco holds that pole position. He's got Christian tucked right in behind him. DK's his stolen pole. Just had Steph go off track. And as qualifying completes, this is the final lap for these two. Polka Dog and Christian both improve their times. DK isn't going to show up. DK's holding that pole. Vortex parked the car up. He's been bumped down to P4. I think Gallen's just off camera doing a burnout somewhere. There's 95 seconds left to get the last laps done. Hopefully no disconnects at this stage. All we've lost a couple. Lost Philly. Barmy in the pits. Oh, I think it's a disconnect from Vortex. Still can't find. I think it's another. I think Philly gone again. He's had several disconnects in the session, so purely struggling with those power interruptions. There may be several dropping out. Yes, we've just had a whole bunch drop out, so we're going to restart the session and add in an extra lap. So hopefully we've got some results. But once this goes over, we'll start a new session. So we'll go to another screen as we get it, because we have lost a good portion of the field. Hopefully we don't get those to still happen. So we'll be jumping over and talking to the guys and seeing what's going on. So we'll be back very shortly. We'll be silent.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 Got him! Got him!
So we are back, so we're having several disconnect issues, and then even myself in that a little bit as well, so the drivers have voted for a restart, so we'll be doing a new session, so we'll be back very shortly, so we'll be heading back out and inviting all the drivers back in, so we'll be seeing them head back out into qualifying, so we may even just shorten that off a little bit so we don't drag on too long, but we'll be back in a few minutes. And we are back. So the driver's opting for a full restart with all the amount of dropouts in the qualifying session. So we are coming back with just a 10-minute qualifying. And then we have changed the weather conditions to be clear, just so those track temperatures are a little bit higher so the drivers don't have to do as many laps to get the temp up in the tyres. So that way they can utilise the 10 minutes. Hopefully no disconnect issues. We're seeing a lot of dramas going on. Several drivers even restarting their PlayStations. There could very well be some server issues going on. Christian and Coca Dog having fun with the sound effects, all the drama going on. It'd take a little bit longer because I try and cross over to be able to talk to the drivers in the session. I can hear their game chat, but they can't actually hear me talk to them, so I had to try and talk to one of them through a message to relay through to the group. It's been quite a while since we've had to worry about doing a restart as well. Usually when we've done the restart, it's usually been an issue that's gone on in between the qualifying results and the race where the dropouts have happened. We've usually ended up doing a rolling start with no formation lap and adding an extra lap to the race just for the drivers to actually be able to go out and get back into their positions. Drivers are only going to have a few good solid hot laps out there. Hopefully the cars are a little bit grippier. A lot of the practice would have been done in those same weather conditions where the track temps are slightly cooler. Hopefully not too much of an issue for them. I'm trying to adapt. You know, some using the wet compound, try and add that extra stick. We're able to get DK up on the screen this time. And all the cars not appearing to be skippy at all. Hopefully Project Cars wanted us to a better spot on the servers. Yeah, that's right, spray of all the nights. Yeah, we have to have a massive storm. The guys were joking in the lobby, so a few of the drivers live all next to each other on the coast, and then Billy said he's a little bit away from Gallon, so if we see Philly disconnect, we can expect Gallon to disconnect not too far after, as the storm is progressing his way. So it's all sorts of dramas, and even Steph last week, we had her in the final corner take out all the barricades. If you do remember watching the stream, all the barricades in the final corner having been taken out. That was actually as a power surge occurred with Steph. She didn't disconnect, but her steering wheel just completely cut out, so she actually lost all control as she was on approach. It was rather interesting to see when reviewing the replay for the post-race stewarding. She was driving along all fine, then all of a sudden the car just straightens up and dives off track and into the wall. And then suddenly she regains control again. The The guy is definitely getting some good times here for his first time laps. We're seeing 144 set by Vortex for pole when we rejoin back in after the first few issues with my disconnect of the race director screen. Those warmer track temps definitely helping the drivers get some more stick. It's good to see the drivers plugging along. It'd be horrible if we start to see any drop off now from disconnects. Now, and back out. He's qualified in third. He's set a 144.7. DK's has taken the pole away, 143.2, pumping Vortex down. And Sami moves up into position 2. I think that's Gallon that's just come out of the pits. Sami qualifies in P2 at 143.5. There is no difference between Sami and Vortex's time. It's 0.001 difference. That is very tight. Oh yeah, that would have been pretty wild straight here in the lightning strikes. Hopefully nature can hold off for a little bit, at least until we get through our race, and then do as it pleases, so it doesn't interrupt us too much more tonight. It seems to enjoy coming along on Thursday nights, causing havoc for drivers. Lucky we don't do series with live weather, otherwise the guys would have been running in thunderstorms for most of the series. Mick Cliff doing well, qualifying a 144.662. He's the first of the drivers in the 144 bracket, so our first 4 are in 143 slots. There's only 7.5 seconds separating 13 cars. There's a minute 38 remaining. 30 Monkeys currently in the garage. Doggy Daddy also heading into the pits. Vortex also the same. If they are just on their way out of pit lane, it's potential they could have got an extra lap in time. Had Gallon's lap invalidated up. I'm not sure if that was this lap or not. Otherwise, he's only got 40 seconds to wrap up this lap. I don't think it's going to be enough time. DK beats his own pole setting time. Getting in with a 142 near flat. 10-minute qualifying pressure, putting in some insane lap times. When they watch this back later, we may have to put the pressure on you more and well, that qualifying time if he's going to be doing laps like this. There we are, qualifying done. DK parks up the car, he's pretty impressed with that. A 142 is going to be pretty hard to beat. Tilly brings it in. Cliff still out on track. Head Farmer also. That's Coco Dog just off in the distance behind. So 72 seconds remaining. They've got enough time to wrap up this lap. I think it's the hairpin. Nick was just in, yep. Corner is in 6th position. His previous best time 1:44.566. He improves it down to a .226, but doesn't move him up a position at all. And can Coco Dog improve his qualifying position? He's in 4th. Oh, and it's just brought us across. Will we see him move up? Or he stays in position 4. We have DK Rush taking pole position. And the rest of the grid is Sami, Vortex, Coco Dog, Philly Manili, Mick Cliff, Christian, Gallon 350, Head Farmer, Steph, Doggy Daddy, Demon FX, and Dirty Monkey. So no connection issues, so all looking good as we head over onto the grid now. Gallon mentioning that the weather change did throw him off. The drivers will have to adapt back over to the cooler conditions. So it's now heavy cloud and will progress over into overcast conditions. Army in P2 actually lined up with the racing line, so if he gets a very good start, he's going to be in a good position to try and move through the race lead. So very much the same of that occur in Division 2. A2 getting a great launch, being able to move over and pull ahead rather quickly on that first lap. So we can try and focus on here so we can try and see the full grid. We're about to see some cars dart up along the inside if they get a good run. Light's about to go green for Division 1 in round 4. And we're green. DK gets off to a good start. He's going to need to do that so he can move over and take that racing line. Looks like Gallon's moved up a position. Takes the racing line, but he's also side by side with Christian. Christian goes off, but he brings the car back on. I could have potentially seen a spin go out in front of all the traffic. DK's flying ahead. Army's dropped a position. Vortex is up in P2. Coco Dog has Philly hot on his tail. Gallen also closing in. Oh, big slide by Philly. Comes back on track. He's flipped Gallen. That could have gone very bad. Not sure where Philly is. He's managed to recover well as well. No, he's just been spun and turned around. It's going to cost him to see him back at the end of the pack. Danced with fate a little bit there and got luck on its side, but that final one not getting it. Sami makes a move on Vortex. Got to shave some speed off as he comes into the first hairpin. It's allowed Vortex to go for a switchback. I don't think he's going to be able to get him again in turn 12. Big pace going off. Vortex really moving over to try and get as much speed down through turn 1. Sami's slightly gone off. Nice save, just comes back in front. Would have been a little bit scary for Coco seeing that. Navone, Sami is going to enter into a spin out in front of him. Looking to get around Christian. Vortex has just copped himself a post-race time penalty. There's a close battle here for position 9. That's Head Farmer and Doggy Daddy side by side. There's an inside advantage coming to the chicane. Almost going 2 and then 3 wide. Ooh, a little bit of a spin, touch with Demon effects. Doggy Daddy going off in the spin. A race lead is our championship leader, DK Rush. He's now got 3.4 seconds on the lead, and it's only lap 3. These 3 racing very close. Vortex sandwiched in between Sami and Coco. Coco's gone for a spin, but he's recovered the car. Doesn't cost him a position. Allen goes for an outside move around. Christian's wearing a post-race time penalty as well. That's Mick just in behind them. They almost look to go 3 wide, and then they quickly tuck back into the racing line. Allen moves up into 5th position. Can he hold Christian at bay? A bit of right rear locking from Christian. Allen runs slightly wide. We're starting to get the gap on Sami, but it looks like he's dropping off a fraction now. Battle for 5th still continues between Christian and Gallen. Christian is chasing Gallen. Gallen gets away a little bit quicker. Through sector 2. Big pace there from Christian. Locks her up. Trying to carry a lot of mid-corner speed. Seen him drop off a little bit. Nearly now closing in on Steph. A little bit of slick as he comes out of the hairpin. Quite enough to get the jump coming out of the final hairpin to get around Steph on pit straight. Christian teetering with that gap behind Gallen. Cliff seeming to drop back a little bit from Christian and Mick. Sorry, Christian and Gallen. There, Christian really sliding that car. Yeah, Silent Achiever, DK Rush out the front. No one in his mirrors to see. Just running on his own, nearly just having Sami appear around the corner as he comes onto that back straight. Got Vortex and Coco Dog going side to side. All the way down, they're going to have to make room for the chicane. Oh, Gallen goes to make an outside move. They get the jump on Vortex. Both Christian and Gallen using that momentum. A lot of rear lock by Vortex. Fair few post-race time penalties being applied to drivers as they're pushing the limits of the track. They're doing a good job of keeping Philly at bay. F about 10th quicker last time around, is keeping her just ahead of Philly. Vortex makes a move about, he's able to move back up into 4th position. Christian's dropped down into 9th, so I don't know if there may have been a little bit of contact between the two potentially. Very close, leaving not a whole lot of room. He gets a great run out of the chicane, but he's going to have to shave off a lot of speed. And he pulls it up and takes and holds that inside line. He had Christian to try and defend off. He's looking to move on through. An outside pass on the final hairpin. Gets around Steph. have the Head Farmer and Dirty Monkey starting to close in. Current standings as at lap 7, we have Demon Effects in position 13, Bobby Daddy in 12th, Head Farmer in 11th, and he's right on the tail of Dirty Monkey. He's sitting in 10th, and Christian's just gone off, but he's just dropped down into 9th position. Ranch is back on the track. Steph moves up into 8th. Billy in P7. Vortex just running off track slightly. It's cost him his position to Garland. Vortex, oh, he just had a disconnect too by the looks of it. Vortex heading up into the pits. Not sure if he may have taken damage or just heading for the mandatory pit requirement. Going in 5th position. Cliff has moved up into P4. Baco Dog in 3rd. Army in 2nd place. And DK Rush and led for the full 8 laps, and he's got a 7-second lead over Sami. And Christian's just suffered a disconnect. Cross, no interruptions for the remainder of the race. If we can get through 13 laps without any disconnects on the drivers. Still holding on tight to Philly, not letting him pull away too quick. We're getting close to the halfway point as well. We could see more drivers are starting to pit in. In comes Gallant. Will be a quick release here. The tyre change animation, but they don't usually change the tyres, they just always do that. Would be good if the game reflected just what they actually were doing. They've had some good pace that last lap, a 147.2. Philly set a 148. Philly takes a lot of inside curb through the chicane. Really could issue a slowdown warning. DK doing well with now a 10-second lead on lap 10, so gaining a second a lap just about. Gallen may have just gotten around Doggy Daddy's. Gallen having already been in and pit. Team up into 4th position, so he's going to be able to recover a fair few positions. He's only 47 seconds away from the race lead. Dirty now heading into the pits. Billy and Steph racing in the pits. Steph gets the better of Philly. I'm surprised Philly may have even just chucked in a few extra litres of fuel just to be safe. After getting so close to the end, Sugo last week just to run out of fuel. And even the drivers mentioning getting very close on that final lap in Division 2. Basically crossing the line with no fuel. DK now at 11 seconds between himself and Sami, and there's a 3-second time penalty to Sami, so that's added even more time to that gap. That's going to be rather beneficial if DK does need to start conserving. I'm sure if we just also discount, I don't think so. It's just Demon and Christian that we've lost. Sami's just gone off track, so he's just lost 2 positions. Coco Dog's moved up into position 2. Mick Cliff now in position 3. DK having a 19.4 second lead over position 2 now. And it is Coco Dog that is closest competitor for the championship. Sami looking to reclaim that lost ground. Tight on the chicane. Philly appears to be dropping back from Steph a little bit. Tell if the weather has progressed yet. I think it may be overcast conditions. Oh, big slide by DK. There's been a little bit of loss of focus, but those tyres be needing to be changed. Been out there for 12 laps, so we're past the halfway point now. Will we see DK hit in this lap? Doggy Daddy having just finished his mandatory pit. P7 is a few seconds away from Vortex. A fair bit of spacing going on. We do need to see some drivers head in and pit still, especially our race leaders. It's been about 25 seconds added Failed to get in and serve the pit. It's a very short pit lane, so there's an advantage there. The drivers are simply just doing a quick stop and go. Get out very quick. That's where we saw DK go for the slide the previous lap. Sami's just head off into the pits now. Let's see his head farmer move up. Sami's out and away. Dylan moves back up a position. Big slide, well controlled by Vortex. DK still staying out on track. He's getting around some lap traffic. I think that's Doggy Daddy. He may have just gotten past. DK may be leaving it to the last moment to pit. He sees himself getting around the 25-second lead. We may see him actually start to consider pitting in. This will be enough time for him to get in and out and still maintain that race lead. Mick Cliff catching up to Coco Dog. Coco Dog runs a little wide. Glad Mick to gain some more ground on him. Mick's last lap 1.3 seconds quicker than Coco Dogs. That's why he's closed this gap in so much. We've also got Gallon and Sami at the moment battling it out for position 6. A lot of slide from Sami. Really looking to get back around Steph. He had a lot of speed coming through that corner. He's looking for an opening, go for an inside line move. Hasn't had enough momentum to be able to dive out and take any track position. Can he do it before or after the chicanes? Sitting up very close. Mick Cliff's just gone into the pits. Steph runs a little bit wide out of the chicane, costing her the position. Mick's in and out. Be out just in time before the head farmer makes his way past. No, just tucks in behind him. I do believe head farmer has pit in. That's leaving our leaders. Coco Dog in position 2 and DK Rush to actually in for their mandatory pit. There's only 6 laps remaining. There's a lot of lockup going on with that rear. He's got 25.8 seconds between himself and Coco. I'd be surprised if he decides to pit in here. No, stays out on track. Daddy. It's behind him, so he's got some lap cars put between himself and position 2. It's going to be a solid win for DK if he can get this and have held off the lead for the entirety of the race. And bring up the quick timings and see he's got the fastest lap of the race. I'm seeing a 1:43.2 by DK. So that is the fastest lap of the race. So it could be a clean sweep for round 4. It's going to be what he needs to be able to head into the final round. Going to need every single point he can get to try and put that gap between himself and Coco Dog. Cliff manages to make his way back up and around Head Farmer, so moves up into position 3 again. Farming's still trying to get around Gallen. He hasn't been quite able to bring that gap in. His last lap was slightly quicker than Gallen. Vortex just up ahead of them. A little bit of slide. Lost him some pace. It's going to see Galen really close that gap in now. Currently on lap 17. And this is the battle for position 5. And they're currently 54 seconds away from the race lead. Sami goes off very wide in the chicane. He's turned the car around. Got a couple of seconds before Philly catches him. He's going to get past. Will he get up to speed before Steph catches up? Yes, no dramas there. Farmer still hanging on to Mick Cliff. What a rev limiter being hit. You could hear off in the distance there. I don't know if that's Vortex or someone may have gone off track. Farmer's still holding on to Mick. He's not letting him get away too quickly. DK Rush, our race leader, now holding a solid 30-second lead on lap 18 of 21. It's free to go, so we'll need to pit in the next couple of laps. He's got more than enough time to be able to get in and pit and get out and hold that race lead. He's got a very nice safety net between himself and Coco Dog. Head Farmer really catch up some ground down pit straight. Oh, but he gets into the slide. Can he save it? What a drift. Cost him some speed. But he did not end up going off, so it could have been worse. Sami closing in on Steph at the moment. Steph just goes off and DK's just gone into the pits. He's got more than enough time to be able to get in. DK already back out on his way. Will Coco come in this lap as well, or will he stay out for another lap? I think that's Doggy Day that was just off track there. Coco Dog stays out on track. The DK comes out with 10.5 seconds between himself and Coco, but Coco will need to head into the pits. Yes, I did actually miss whether he's already peeled in or not. I believe Sakes is about 18 seconds between himself and Mick, so it's likely he has not been in. And even with that huge lead of DK, points-wise for the championship, it's only going to be a difference of 12 points between first and second. So Coco holding off in second place tonight will still be within range of taking a championship win in the final round. Both our divisions being very close in the championship, it's going to be great going through and doing the post-race stewarding of these races. And then doing those results and seeing how close these guys are going to be as we head into next week's race for the finale. Starting lap 20. Coco hasn't pit yet. He will need to pit at the end of this lap. Ed Farmer still making some big ground. Oh, he's got to head into the pits. Not sure if he may have taken damage. I'm pretty sure he'd already been in and pit. Could he have got some fuel calculations wrong? He may be coming in just for a quick splash of fuel just to get on his way to bring the car home. If that is the case, that is very unfortunate. That sees Head Farmer drop down in 7th position. Illuminelli moves up into 6th. Voltex in 5th. Going up into 4th position now. And 6 seconds between himself and first spot on the podium. Mick has pit. He's currently 12.8 seconds away from DK. And that's Coco Dog that is actually that gap between. DK crossing the line, commencing the final lap, white flag shown. Coco not having pit. But will he be quick enough to be able to come back out in front before Mick Cliff gets around and crosses the control line? He's going to need to be able to be super quick. He's definitely in and out. He's going to come out just in front of Mick Cliff by the looks of things. Maybe not. Will Mick get the jump on him? No. That is super tight. The space between DK and Coco Dog was not going to be favourable for Coco going into the final round. He needs to stay as close as possible. He's not wearing any post-race time penalties. He won't lose a position up if Mick stays close to him. Mick seems to be carrying a good amount of pace here. see Mick have a go at trying to take position 2 away on this final lap. DK having a little bit of fun with the car. He's got 32 seconds up his sleeve. Could even take a stroll through pit lane and cross the line if he wanted to. Congratulations, DK. I'm pretty sure it's a clean sweep in round 4. We're side by side with Mick Cliff and Coco Dog along the back straight. Into the first hairpin. Mick holds back. Coco takes a lot of curb. Can Mick get him on the final corner? I don't think he's close enough unless Coco makes a mistake here. And the podium, P2 for Coco, well done, and to Mick Cliff in P3. Vortex and Gallon also close, taking 4th and 5th. No, Gallon takes 4th. There's a post-race time penalty applied to Vortex. Gallon moves up into 4th position. Billy crosses in P6. He's got some time penalties, but so does Head Farmer and Sami, so no changes in position there. Def in the same boat in P9. Dirty Monkey coming up across the line in position 10. There we have it, the end of round 4. Managed to get through it with only a couple of cars not making it to the end, so much better luck second time round. So it did drag us out a little bit later than expected, but it was a great rush, so great race in the end. And we have DK Rush taking the victory, and does he still hold the fastest lap? That's 143.236, so yes, a clean sweep from DK, so well done there. And then Coco Dog on the podium in position 2, and Mick Cliff in position 3. Then the rest of the standings, we have Gallon, Vortex, Philly Manilli, Head Farmer, Sami, Steph, Dirty Monkey, and Doggy Daddy. So we'll be inviting in our podium finishes for a chat now. So we'll see DK, Coco, and Mick being added in here in a moment. Invites shot off to the guys, so hopefully we'll see them join the session in a short moment. Yes, Spray getting an early great win, DK. We've got the guys joining in. Congratulations, DK, on the win. That's a clean sweep for round 4.
Yeah, cheers, JT. Yeah, it was a fun race. A little bit sweaty after that one.
Yeah, it would do, especially with the extra qualifying session.
yeah, I had to go and qualify first again, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was fun.
Yeah, that was getting a very good lead, nearly 30 seconds before having to pit in.
Yeah, I thought Coco had already pitted, so I was trying to push that gap out as far as I could, knowing that it was about 21 seconds for a pit stop. So,
That's very good. So 37-second gap lead in the end, so well done.
Cheers.
And congratulations, Coco.
Coco,
Yeah,
I don't think
Coco.
Coco's here. Oh, he's just
there he is. He's just joined. Congratulations, Coco.
Hey, thanks.
It was a good run.
Yeah, just tried to keep it consistent. I couldn't keep up with the DK1 rush pace, so that was just too much.
Yeah, he was pushing it pretty hard out there, but then some getting pretty close between you and Mick towards the end. Just in those last couple of hairpins, it was almost going to come to a photo finish.
He had me there. I don't know. He just backed out. He could have got me around the outside, but it was just a bit risky, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, congrats on the podium, Mick. Great drive.
Thank you. Happy with that. That was hard work, though.
Yeah, no, it
the
was,
slowest car out of the top 9, so just consistent pace.
yeah, that's all you need.
Yeah,
Congrats, Coco and Mick on podium. Well
yeah,
done.
cheers. And you, DK, on the win, the clean sweep. Too good.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, I
mate,
didn't
so-
know where Coco Dog was on the inside, so I couldn't take the risk of turning in.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be pretty close coming in the final round now with DK and Coco.
And double points for the last round too. So
Yeah, so it'll be the decider.
yep, definitely. Pressure's on.
the practice
It is.
starts tonight.
No worries. Congratulations, guys, and look forward to seeing you battle it out for the finale next week.
Cheers.
Thanks, JT.
Cheers, JT.
Thanks, JT.
Thanks, guys.
No
Thanks again.
worries. And then we have our podium finishes. DK Rush taking the victory, Coco Dog in P2, and Mick Cliff in P3. So we'll be back again next week. So the next round we head over to Fuji Gp. So it's going to be some very tight, fast racing action in the Formula Rookies again. And as we mentioned, it will be the decider between Coco Dog and DK Rush. And with how close those two have been throughout the series, it's going to be some great actions. Hit that follow button if you haven't done so yet, so you can be notified when we do go live. So we've got more racing on Monday nights with iRacing and the Skip Barber Cup, so more open wheeled races coming up. And then of course after the finale we'll be running both series in the Porsches, the Porsche 911s for iRacing and the Porsche Cayman GT4s. So thanks for tuning in and hope to see you trackside next week.